Hi there, CP Algebra 2, and here is the Chapter 2 Remediation walkthrough. If you didn't do so hot on the test, this is just kind of a review of all the basic concepts. Feel free to kind of jump to the ones that you would like to look over and see how you do on the pretest after. So first off, the domain and the range. Know that the domain are all the x values, and the range are all the y values. Okay, you only have to list them once if they only occur once. So domain is -1, 1, -2, and 2. And range, you could just say is 3 and -3 since they occur more than once. Now the key is recalling if it is a function or not. So to be a function, every x must have only one y. Every x or domain can only have one y value. Okay? So here, 1 goes to 3. -1 goes to 3. 1 goes to -3. -2 goes to 3. And 2 goes to -3. So it is a function. Okay? Over here, domain and range. Domain is -2, -1, 2, and 3. Range is -2, 0, 6, and 8. Notice that none of the domains repeat. Okay? So this one still is a function. No repeating domain values. For example, something that's not a function, okay, and simply put, if we were to look at number 2, and let's say I add the point 3, 9, okay, then it would not be a function, okay? So if that were the case, if 3, 1, 2, 8 and 3, 1, 2, 9, that would not be a function, as 3 has 2 y values. Okay, so that is the big difference here if that were the case. Okay, the next piece is telling whether a function is linear. Okay, linear functions must look like y equals mx plus b. Okay, things like x in the denominator, like number 1, okay, this is not y equals mx plus b. X is in the denominator, so it's not linear. Now it also says, however, to evaluate the function for x equals -2. Okay, so for part B, y equals 4 over -2 plus 5. You're just substituting the -2 into the denominator. So then y equals 4 over -2 is -2 plus 5. Y would equal 3. Okay, that's the basic idea. Y equals 10x minus 5 is linear. And again, you're substituting -2 in for x. 10 times -2 is -20, minus 5 is -25. Other nonlinears. So we just looked at, okay, 1 over x, or 2 over x, or anything over x is nonlinear. Square roots, absolute values, x squared, x to the third. Any of those are non-linear. Okay, and these were all gone through in your notes before. Determine if the line rises, falls, is horizontal or vertical. You use the slope formula for all of these. Recall slope is m equals y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1. Okay, the y coordinates come from y1 and y2, x1 and x2. So if we were to use colors, y1 and y2 would be up top, and x1 and x2 would be down below. Key thing is make sure you have each one in the right place. So this is going to be 2 and -1 minus -4 minus 2. Okay, this is really 2 plus 4 all over 1 minus 2 is -3. 2 plus 4 is 6 all over -3, and the slope is negative 2. Since it's negative, it's falling. Okay, that's all you needed for those ones. Now again, using the slope formula, we have 4 minus 2 all over 2 minus negative 2. 4 minus 2 is 2 over 4. This is 1/2. Okay, and that means we have a rising slope because it's positive. Make note, if you end up with a slope of 0 over some number, okay, that is 0, so horizontal. And if you have some number over 0, that is undefined, so vertical. Okay, 2 key things to wind up with. Those are an extra little tidbit of knowledge. Okay, so falling, rising, all of those different ones. Writing the equation of a line. Okay, again, we're looking at y equals mx plus b. Other equations you'll need is y equals y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. For number 7, it's easy as, well, we have our slope and we have a point. So we have y minus, we're going to use point slope form. Y minus the 3 equals the slope times x minus the 2. Okay, you have y minus 3 equals 1 times x minus 2, because you distribute. And you solve for y, so y equals 1x plus 1. Using point slope form. Parallel to 2x minus 1. Remember, to be parallel, first decision is to decide what slope you need. If I need it to be parallel to 2x, I need to use the same exact slope, 2x. Okay, and from there, it's just the same. I have a slope 2x. I want to go through the point 1, negative 3. I use y minus negative 3 equals 2 times x minus 1. Okay, this makes it y plus 3 equals 2x minus 2. We subtract 3. We have y equals 2x minus 5. Okay, that's the idea with that one there. Now, if I were to ask you perpendicular, okay, that's the sign for perpendicular to y equals 2x minus 1. What would your slope be? It would have to be the opposite reciprocal. Okay, so if perpendicular comes up, then you know you need to use negative 1/2. From there, you would do y minus negative 3 equals negative 1/2 times x minus 1. And go from there. So know the difference between parallel and perpendicular. Lastly, number 9, first you have to find the slope. Okay, just like we did before. So negative 6 minus 4 all over 2 minus negative 3 gives me negative 6 minus 4 is negative 10. All over 2 minus negative 3 is 5. The slope is negative 2. From there, I can choose either point. So we'll check the first point off, and we'll use point slope. So y minus 4 equals the slope, negative 2, times x minus negative 3, negative 2x. This would be plus 3, so minus 6 equals y minus 4. Y equals negative 2x. You add 4 to both sides, minus 2. Okay, so slope and then point slope. Direct variation. If I tell you that they vary directly, the key thing is we're looking for the equation y equals mx. Varies directly means the y-intercept is 0. Okay, so it's really easy actually. I want an equation. This is what I want for them. Well, we just plug everything in. We don't know the slope, so that's what we're going to find. What is the slope? What is m? Okay, so really it's like taking negative 48 equals the slope times 6. and we're going to solve for the slope. So we do that by dividing each side by 6. Negative 48 divided by 6 is negative 8 equals m. So our equation is y equals negative 8 times x. That's the equation. And now it wants you to find y when x equals 3. Okay, so now we want to substitute. So this is part 1. Part 2, we want y equals negative 8 times 3. Negative 3 or positive 3? Positive 3. So y equals negative 24. Okay. Similarly, 15 equals the slope times negative 9. Okay, we're going to divide by negative 9. 15 over negative 9 as a fraction is really 5/3. That's your slope. What does that mean? That means y equals negative 5/3 times x. That's part 1. Part 2, y equals negative 5/3 times 3. And we end up with y equals negative 5. Okay, that's really how easy direct variation is. Lastly, graph the following equations and inequalities. Vertex, h, k. H is the 1, k is the 3. Remember, because it's negative 1, it's the opposite inside, it's positive 1. Okay, plot that point first, over 1 up 3. Next up is your slope, which is not here, but technically it's 1. So your rise over run. Rise 1, rise 1. Its absolute value. Again, type it into your calculator, and you will see it looks like a V. Okay, so this is the graph. Over here, negative 4x plus 2y is greater than 8. Location of the vertex, there actually is none because, okay, it's not absolute value, so we don't actually need to worry about that. There is no vertex. But instead, let's solve for y. Okay, so we have 2y is greater than or equal to 4x plus 8. We're going to divide each side by 2. Y is greater than or equal to 2x plus 4. Again, I just divided everything by 2. And we'll begin to graph that line. First thing to note is, so y-intercept of 4, positive slope 2 over 1. So we'll just keep track of that there. Now, the line type. Remember, for these, you have a solid line. If you don't have the equal to, you have a dashed. Okay, so we're going to connect them with a solid line, and that's for inequalities. So a solid line. Let's see if I can find it. And the last thing with inequalities is we want to test a point. I will pick 0, 0. And I will substitute that into the equation. So is negative 4 times 0 plus 2 times 0 greater than or equal to 8? That is the question. Well, that wipes out, that wipes out. We have 0. Is that greater than or equal to 8? No. So I don't want to shade where the x is. No solution. That means the solutions are actually on the other side. Okay, that is a crash course on all of the basics in this chapter. Okay, so please use these notes, and I expect you to then work on the following page that has an example problem for you guys. So please continue the same idea on all of these, and you will bring those to class for me to see that you tried them. So that's the remediation. Thank you for watching. 15 minutes. Do your best, bring it on into class, and that's what I expect of you in order to begin the process to retake your test. Thanks, guys. Have a nice day.